name is Ross Andrew Minor. I don't really know many of you guys here, but I want to get to know you guys more. So basically I'm going to tell you guys how I went blind and how it's affected me and where I am in my life right now. My father was Mark Minor, mother was Grace Minor, and my brother was Ryan Minor. I was born in Virginia Beach and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina when I was 3. When I was a kid, I had a perfect life, really. 2 loving parents, a brother that I loved, even though we'd fight occasionally, and a dog, and best friend down the road, and went to a nice private school. I would always go back in the woods on our property in the back and build tree houses with my brother and play airsoft and paintball. So I'd call that perfect life. Until when I was 8, I found out that my mom and dad were getting a divorce. And as a kid, I really didn't know what that meant. My brother, Ryan, he was 2 years older than me, so it upset him a lot more than it did me. I couldn't really comprehend a life where my parents were split. So on June 14th, 2006, I was sleeping in my bed, and my dad came in, and he shot me. He went to my brother's room, and he shot him, and then he committed suicide. My dad was later suspected to be a narcissist and possibly a sociopath. It scares me because sometimes I feel that inside of me. Thankfully, my brother's best friend Jack, who lived next door, his dad was a police officer and was able to clear the roads to get me to the hospital. The next day, my brother died. I remember going into surgery, barely, and then waking up, couldn't see anything. All I heard were beeps from my heart monitor, people walking, and I had no idea where I was. I remember closing my eyes and counting to 13 to be exact. I planned to count to 60, but I couldn't. Counted to 13, opened my eyes, and I still couldn't see anything. And that's when my mom came over, and she said, "Ross, your father and brother are dead. Your father shot Ryan." And at the time, I thought that it was just an accident. My dad loved to hunt. Ryan was always in the woods, even more than I. I thought it was just some freak accident. But the harsh reality set in that it wasn't. I couldn't even comprehend that. Your parents are supposed to be there to love you, no matter what. And for someone to do something like that, tore me up inside. And even worse, it tore my mom up inside. I was in the hospital for 5 weeks, going through physical therapy. The whole time, the Catholic community that surrounded me ran fundraisers to pay for my medical bills. I'm forever grateful for that. I was released from the hospital, and we moved in with my grandparents. And then I began 3rd grade. And this is where my mom comes in. My mom has been the greatest advocate for me that I could ever ask for, and I don't even thank her for it enough. I really don't. That's one of my faults. after I went blind, she thought I wasn't going to be able to do anything. That she was going to have to take care of me for the rest of my life. And no one was here, or no one was there for her to, help her through this. Help her raise a blind child. I remember getting home from the hospital and laying on the couch in the living room while Mom, Grandma, and Grandpa unpacked my stuff in my room. And I remember I needed to ask my mom something, but she couldn't hear me calling from the couch. So I got up and I touched the wall. And I groped my way down the hallway, up the stairs, and then crawled into my room and asked my mom whatever the question was. And I think that's what gave her hope that I was going to be something greater than just a vegetable. I went to a private elementary school. Because of that, the public school system wouldn't provide the services I needed unless I enrolled in their schools. But it was unanimously agreed upon that the worst thing right now would be to take me out of a comfortable environment. So my mom had to hire a TVI, a teacher for the visually impaired, and an O&M instructor to help me learn Braille, write Braille, and use my cane. She had to do this all out of pocket. My mom tells me a story about how Mr. Bob, my first O&M instructor, came to see me. I was sitting in my grandpa's blue chair, my favorite chair, and I had a blanket over me. And Mr. Bob he tried talking to me, and I didn't respond, and so then he told me to stick my hand out from under the blanket, and he gave me my first cane. And he asked me if I knew what it was, and I shook my head. And so from there, he showed me how to use my cane. And he helped me develop the skills I needed to be independent, to get around by myself, and to use my hearing to my advantage. I started 3rd grade, and all my friends were there for me. I even had Miss M and Miss G, two aides that helped me with my classwork. They went out of their way to learn Braille for me so they could write my assignments in Braille. I have so many people helping me through this crazy thing we call life, and I'm forever grateful for that. Halfway through 4th grade, I had to leave St. Matt's Elementary School because the costs were too expensive. I moved to Greenville, South Carolina for 6 months to enroll in public school. That was when I had the first taste of what I was going to be facing as a blind individual. I wasn't bullied, I was just ignored. I was non-existent, I was a ghost to everybody. We decided it'd be best for me to move back up to Charlotte, North Carolina, and enroll in the public school system there. Even though my mom took Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system to due process, in a way I feel they still won that battle, because I had to enroll in public school and be treated like the way I was. Every day in 5th grade, the kids would go out to recess, and I would just sit on a bench on the side because no one wanted to play with me, or just because I couldn't play. This continued all the way up to halfway through 7th grade, when we made the decision to move to Florida so I could enroll in Florida School for the Deaf and Blind. This took a lot of courage on both of our parts, especially my mom's, because I'm sure that decision wasn't easy for her. We had to drop everything everyone who was supporting us, just so she could give me a better education. We moved to Florida and stayed with my tia and Uncle Matt for a few months. I enrolled in FSDB where I finally felt accepted, where there were people like me. Things were great for a while. Then I reached 9th grade and I found Exmo. This whole time I've been straying away from Christianity. And then I come to Exmo and it's opened my eyes to so many new things. I don't think we realize how grateful we are to be here right now on a mountain, being able to do all these extreme sports that not even sighted people get to experience in years. Halfway through 10th grade, I was feeling increasingly unsettled with FSDB, and I decided that I wanted to look for a new school. I met a girl on the swim team, or from an opposing swim team, that told me about her school, and we got to know each other, and that's what convinced me to transfer to Bishop Snyder High School. I figured it would be a lot easier for me to transfer there if I already had a friend. I felt like my social skills were developed enough to where this was my chance to come out and be something. I transferred to Bishop Snyder and started all over again. No one would talk to me. People were intimidated by me because I was blind, and it still happens. Probably my years at Bishop Snyder High School were probably the roughest of my life, because I began to know or notice a recurring theme that every time I would meet someone, they would leave me. My brother, my father, the one friend I would make in elementary school moved away. One friend I made in middle school moved away. It shattered my trust. It seemed like just when I started to, I guess, feel God, classes were just getting harder and harder at Bishop Snyder. I was falling behind. I didn't have any friends. No one understood me. I didn't know why. I thought something was wrong with me. I was so angry, so mind-numbingly angry that why could this happen to me? Beginning of my junior year last year was when I began my deconversion to atheism. I figured atheism made a lot more sense to me, because if I reach out to God over and over again and I don't hear jack from him, that there is no God. I didn't realize at the time, but I fell into depression. And it seemed at the beginning of senior year, when I started to pick myself back up, life just kicked me back to my knees. I know it seems sort of silly, but there was this girl I liked, and I told her how I felt about her, and she didn't feel the same, which I understood, but it still upset me, of course. It was a really humbling experience for me. And And as I started to feel better, I found out that my dog had cancer. And I know some people may think it's just an animal, but my dog is family to me. It's my brother's dog. She had cancer in her mouth, and I had to put her down. And I was there when they injected her. And all I could think about was, this is probably what my mom had to go through when she had to say goodbye to my brother. I put her down, and then I realized that 3/5 of my family is dead. My greatest fears is, when will be my mom next? I began seeing a therapist, and he told me that, Ross, I think you're depressed. And I was like, that's crazy. I'm not crying. I'm not sad. I'm just really angry. And he said, well, that could be a type of depression. And so he put me on meds, and I thought I was going to be a walking pharmaceutical. But I've only been on them for 2 weeks, and I can't even remember the last time I felt this happy. Just last week, I went to, this is a big chapter in my life. I went to a senior retreat, and I was told that it was going to be a big emotional experience. And I kept telling myself, I was like, these private school rich kids haven't even broken a fingernail in their life. What could they possibly know about pain and suffering? One of the activities we did was we had to get in a group of about 10 people, randomly selected, so it's not like we could pick our friends or anything. And we had to describe 5 highs and lows of our life. I found out that some of those seniors were beaten, were raped, had freaking siblings that were that abused drugs. That was eye-opening for me. I thought I was the only one who was going through something like this. The next activity we did was we each had a bag, and we could write personal letters to each other, something nice about each other. And I was like, I'm not going to get anything. I received about 20 letters saying that I was loved, that I was inspirational, that I was funny, all these good things about me that I had no idea meant the world to me. I haven't even been back at school yet to express to them that how much it meant to me. Something that I've learned throughout all these years is that, at least in my experience, is that it takes pain to grow. Similar to working out, when you lift weights, your muscles rip and tear, but then you get stronger because of it. Through these 10 years, the only person that I felt that actually loved me, or only people, were my family. For all I know, some of you guys could be going through the same thing right now, where you don't feel loved, where you don't feel appreciated. You may be going through the same thing that I went through back in my hometown. People need to know that they are loved and appreciated. I want you guys to look to the person right next to you and tell them that you love them, that you appreciate them. Say it with all your heart.
Love you, Ross.
Love you, Ross.
Love you, Ross.
Love you guys too. I came to Exmo. Over the years, I came to Exmo. I felt the presence of God. And over the years, I stopped feeling that. I come to worship, and I just sit in the back, and I don't feel anything anymore. Braden and I were talking last night. And having deep philosophical talks and all that. And after a while, we sat there in silence for about 5 minutes. He said, "Ross, do you know what Hallelujah is about?" And I said, "No, I don't." I was like, "I always assumed that it was just some relationship with a man and a woman." And he's like, "It's not." Every single one of those verses come from the Bible about men who have fallen and hit rock bottom and then called out hallelujah to God. I think to myself, I was like, isn't that ironic? But to you guys, God is probably trying to talk to me right now, but I may just be too blind, pun intended, to even see it. I've never been closed-minded, but if we're gonna give it a shot, I want to feel the way that you guys do, where you know that someone loves you no matter what. I have a lot of anger in my heart. I have so much love, and I have no one to give it to. Because I have no one that I'm honestly close to back at home. Something as simple as a handshake or a high five or a hug can mean so much to a person like me, or so much to a person right next to you. You have no idea what someone is going through right now. And it's so easy to forget that. I forget that all the time. Sometimes I'll treat someone like crap and then think to myself, what could they be going through? I'll apologize. So as on our last day of Exmo, just reach out to someone that I think may be hurting, that just needs a friend. Because you have no idea what someone is going through. Because our society thinks that because if you are going through something bad, that you cannot talk about it. But you can. Here at Exmo, we are a family. All of us together, not individually, all of us together, we are going to change lives, and we are going to make people understand what it's like to be blind and what it's like to achieve things that they couldn't even imagine. Just wanted to thank all of you guys for being here for me. It means the world to me. You have absolutely no idea. I feel accepted here. I feel welcome. I feel you guys are my second family. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Rob.